All right, so every year I end up making this tier list. It is always a fustercluck. And the reason why is because there are just so many units in this game. Now, you guys can see I've basically got 3 tiers here that I'm going to evaluate everybody on. I will try to pick out a couple of the men at the end that I think are kind of more likely to be. And then we have all of the prior summer units here pulled out just for their own sake. Because obviously I don't see them doing a repeat on anybody, though they have pulled that at least once with Summer BB here, with BB Dubai coming back for a second course. So technically it's possible, but I'm going to assume they're not going to do that and make it a regular thing. So let's see. Anyways, like I said, I do this every year. It's been really interesting to see. I usually get quite a few of them right. I never get the full thing right. I think there was one year, I think it was summer 4, I want to say, where I predicted every single one of them perfectly accurately. And since then, I'm lucky to get, you know, maybe only like 2 or 3 wrong. But it is the way it is. I usually try to make this tier list and go a little bit bigger with it in terms of, like, I think there's a lot of possibilities for who could be a summer unit in the upcoming year, but I will try to like narrow that down as to who I think is likely. I've basically got 3 tiers here: who I think is likely, who I think is possible. And it's like, you know, obviously it is theoretically possible, but I think if you're in the unlikely category, I don't expect you to be a summer unit this year. We are in, you know, going on like year 10 of FGO at this point. This will be summer, will this be summer 9 or summer 10? This will be summer 10, I think. And we are literally at this point getting to such a degree that every single like pattern that the developers had for making summer units has kind of gone out the window. We have seen over the years that the devs have kind of told us, hey, we have these reasons for why we do and don't use certain units, but those are kind of a lie, and we've seen them violate this over and over again. One of the strongest ones for years was they used to say that if you were recently used in story, that you would not be a candidate for a summer unit because they didn't want to cheapen the story value of that. But while they technically haven't done that, they have flipped around and just made summer a completely story-centric event and made the characters that appear in summer actually relevant to the story very quickly thereafter, since we started to get some actual new characters in summer like Lady Avalon. And so I think at that point we have to look at this and kind of view it from a pretty open-ended point of view and assume that while some of these are possible, I have to go a little bit just with gut instinct here. So please understand this is just going to be my opinion. It's not going to be 100% authoritative or anything like that. But we'll just have to go and see. Now, with regards to, obviously, you've got like the saber faces here right off the bat. There have been a ton of saber faces over the years. In fact, we can go back through and just about every single summer has had one. I believe only summer 5 didn't. So it has been a pretty common trend. I think you can assume there will be at least one saber face available in this summer. There are numerous options for it. I do think it's going to be interesting to see who they choose, but we'll just have to kind of play it by ear. So the first one up here is going to be Saber Lily. Now, we've already had Castoria here coming in the sort of prior summer. I don't really see this being a thing, since that's, you know, the upcoming one on NA here is going to be for Zerctoria. Obviously, they could do it. I think it's possible, but I don't think Lily's a high candidate. The only reason I wouldn't put her in unlikely is actually because they did make a meta joke about this. And as you guys know, jokes are the deepest lore. So with the Fujimaru season, they actually concluded it with a like outro featuring the Artorias thanking everybody. But in the process of that episode, there was a big joke being told about how both Lily and Lalter didn't have a summer form. I don't think Lily is the likely one this year, but I do think she will eventually get one. So we'll just have to see. Next up, we've got Altera. I could see an Altera summer. It's an interesting one. I think looking at this list overall and trying to think about like who here could be on it, we have a ton of options. And I think, as we mentioned before, them kind of getting away from the trends, even some of the newer units may be a little bit more up for grabs this time around. I've had Altera in that likely category for a long time now, and she has not been chosen. So we'll see. I do think we're far enough removed now at this point from like Altera the Sunta and stuff like that. So I think she could be it, but we'll see, because Altera may get pulled back into story, you know, at some point of relevancy in the future. I think making this prior to Ordeal Call 4 and knowing who is going to appear in Ordeal Call 4 is kind of wild. So we may have to reevaluate this and revise it after that, but it'll definitely be interesting to see. Next up, Atalanta. Atalanta has also been in the likely category for a long time for me. I think she's a little bit more likely than Alter, just because I think she'll get it first. She's been around longer, but they really could go either way at this point. We've definitely seen the devs do, you know, certain weird things with it, play a little bit more favorites. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But I think one of the big things to think about is there's usually some sort of commonality and grouping amongst the servants with even some of the men. So I wouldn't be surprised to see like Altera get chosen, and then maybe you end up with some of the other members of the Argonauts, though we admittedly already at least have had Achilles one of the years. So it wouldn't be crazy to see something like a Jason or a Hercules get a summer outfit if they ran an Altera summer. Urael, I'm going to be honest, I don't think Urael's very likely. I don't think she's a very high in demand character. I don't think she's a very popular character. We also know who Nasu addressed in one of the interviews. I'll talk about that when we get to her. But yeah, for now, I think as far as the Gorgon sisters go, she's one of the least likely. Ellie, y'all are not going to like this. I have predicted this also for a couple of years now. I do actually think Ellie may be likely one of these years. And the reason why is because we have had just about everything for Ellie other than a summer form. So I know people don't necessarily want it, but it is one of those things where I think there would be a big demand for it. I do think there's still a lot of people out there that like Ellie. So there would definitely be people that would roll for it. Now, to some degree, you could maybe argue that like, well, we've already had Carmilla. It's like, yeah, but you haven't had a true Elizabeth summer. So interesting nonetheless. And then we have Medusa. I'm just going to be honest. I actually do think it's going to probably be Medusa this year. For two reasons. One, we're far enough removed now from Medusa Saber. It's been almost 2 years on JP. She's coming up here for NA. And two, Nasu did get asked this question in one of the interviews, and he basically was like, wait, people would want a Medusa summer? In his typical Nasu way. So obviously he knows that. I think it's a thing, and he'll probably try to make it work at some point, because I think he's going to go, wait, hold on. We really have been neglecting her. But if it's not this year, who knows? Maybe the next year. Boudica. Boudica is also another one. You're not going to see me rate very many 3 stars as a likely chance. Boudica is one of those ones people have been asking for since Summer 2. People want to see an Alter Boudica or an Avenger Boudica, something like that. They could do some really interesting stuff with the Summer Mode version of her. So I think this is another likely one. Now the list is looking a little lopsided here. Y'all are not going to like this next one. I do think Medea is possible. I think she's way more likely than some of the unlikely ones that we'll have on this list, but due to how Lasingle has treated Medea over the years, I'm not really sure that I can put her in the likely category. I think I at least at one point did have her there, but man, the devs have really just kind of ignored her. Ciceno, again, same deal as Urael. I just really do not see her being a likely candidate here. Especially given the fact that I think Medusa is going to be the one that they go with. Jinki. I'm also going to be honest. I really don't see Jinki. Not that, you know, she couldn't be made into an attractive summer unit, but I don't think it'd be high on anyone's list. This would be a real dark horse pick if they wanted to go for her. definitely possibility, but who knows. Chat, probably the highest chance of any 1-star at this point. Yeah, Matahari, I actually could see it. Again, we do notice that the devs do like to take the occasional low star and sort of uplift them with summer. I definitely think it's possible right here. It is another one that people have been asking for a long time. I'm not sure whether or not the devs will have this trick up their sleeve, but if they do, it'd be an interesting one nonetheless. Tamamo Cat, I'm just going to be honest. Tamamo Cat's an unlikely one. I really don't see it from the simple standpoint of there are other options that they could go with, even amongst the like Tamamo faces. So it is what it is. I think obviously the Tamamo fans would be ecstatic if this happened. I just really don't see Tamamo Cat getting the summer form at this point in time. Artemis, I could see an Artemis. I definitely would love to see an Artemis in a bikini. It'd be a funny summer unit. If they really wanted to go with like a Greek theme, it could be possible. Given how many Greek units are still kind of on the list here, I'm going to give this a possible. Normally, I would put it in unlikely. Liz, I'm going to be honest with you here. I'm just going to throw every other Liz variant pretty much in unlikely. Just because I think that if you're going to get a summer Ellie, it's going to be based off of the Ellie, not, you know, some weird offshoot of her. Drake. Oh my God, Drake, please, please, dear Lord Lasingle, will somebody over there please be based? So many people want this. So many people would love to see this. So many people would wail on this. And yet Nasu keeps giving us this whole data lost argument, blah, blah, blah. We're not gonna like use characters that have kind of run their course in story. And it's like, Drake really feels like she's gotten the short end of the stick. I would love to see them do it. I'm gonna put her in possible at this point. She's been in likely for years. They missed their opportunity back in summer 6. I want it to be a thing. I have to downgrade her a little bit though. Medea Lily. In a weird way, this is just as likely as OG Medea. I'd 10 times rather see OG Medea as opposed to Medea Lily, but Lasingle does have a tendency to focus on their variant of a unit more than the original Fate versions. And the reason for this is pretty simple. I think Type Moon just wants to tell a new story with new characters and wants to focus more on the new characters rather than the old nostalgic characters. Kind of been shown time and time again with some of the decisions that they make. So with regards to Medea versus Medea Lily, they definitely prioritize Medea Lily. Nursery Rhyme, I think, is highly unlikely. I just do not see it. It'd be a really weird summer unit. You've got a book and a child, and no. Meanwhile, same thing here. Chat's not gonna like me for this one, but I think Jack is one of the most likely lolly characters to get a summer form. It's been years in the same way. I think they would probably like to revitalize Jack the Ripper a little bit. Who knows? Maybe even some tie-ins with some other Fate projects coming up. But I can see it. I don't think it's like the most like outstanding thing, but, and again, I'm not saying I want this by any stretch of the imagination, just that I think the devs do try to cater to pretty diverse demographics, and that'd be one of them. I gotta be honest, this is probably the most likely Saberface. If for no other reason than it's well overdue. I was predicting both her and MHXA to get a summer form last year in the likely form. They went with MHXA again, bucking Lalter. So it's almost got to be Lalter this time around, unless they really throw me a curveball. I think this is Lalter's year, and this will be a really, really interesting one. But we'll see. Maybe I'll be wrong, but this is definitely a fan favorite. I see so many people asking for this, and y'all know I'm a Saberface guy, so it's like I interact with Saberface fans all the time, but it is one of the most demanded things that I ever see in that regard. So yeah, I think the devs would be fools not to do it at this point. Void Shiki, and really to an extent Shiki as well. I will almost never put these in likely. I will, however, say that they're possible. However, I think I'm going to actually invert this. And I'm going to say OG Shiki has a little bit more of a possibility for a summer form compared to Void. Void, just the personality, the, you know, lore there. I don't think she's a very likely unit for something like this. I think they would go with the original form if they did, but I still don't think Shiki herself has that high of a possibility. Nightingale. Hear me out. Have y'all ever seen the, I believe it's is it the Chaldea Lifesavers craft essence by Shaka P? Yes, Shaka P. Shaka P is the artist for Miss Crane, but also does a ton of the really, really good craft essences in the game. Yeah, so if you've ever seen Shaka P's Chaldea Lifesavers, it is a beautiful, beautiful craft essence. If they do anything like that for Nightingale, that will be a hotly contested unit. Nightingale's one of those units that's in need of a makeover. I could really see this. I'm gonna be honest. I know a lot of people don't think that would be the case. It would really probably depend on the story they want to tell, but I could very much see it. 100 abs, don't see it at all. Definitely a unit in need of a makeover, but I just don't see anybody really wailing for this, even if they did try to like glam her up. Iris Veil. Man, people would wail for a summer Iris Veil. I could easily see that. However, I like just don't think it's a really likely possibility due to the nature of who she is and her being a welfare in the game, especially her lore in the game. So in that regard, not really sure. So Shuten's a dark horse here. I think obviously now with having both Ibuki and Summer Ibuki in the game, there was a period in time where I had Shuten as more likely than Ibuki, but Ibuki was the one that happened. So it'd be interesting to see a Summer Shuten. I think people would really, really go for it, but I don't know whether or not the devs will try to like come back and hit that one again type deal. Dan Zhang. This is a very similar situation to Drake. You've got a really beloved unit that's years old now at this point. It hasn't seen the light of day in a long time. Absolutely, you could get people to wail for a Summer Saiyan Zhang, and I think the devs would be fools not to do something like this. But we'll see. This has been another one that I've been predicting for years now at this point. The devs haven't really gone for it yet. We'll just kind of see what they do. Serenity. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I think Serenity absolutely could get a summer form. I'm definitely not gonna put her in the unlikely. So the question is she likely or possible? I think depending on what the devs want to do with it, like you could maybe have a Hassan theme and stuff like that, but I don't think that's super likely. I'm gonna leave her in the possible for right now, but she is definitely somebody that could get it. And I believe that the devs would absolutely be open to it. The only issue at play here is starting to consider maybe how many 3 stars we have, and I may reevaluate this as we get to the end. Da Vinci, unfortunately, we already have a Writer Da Vinci welfare. I think that kind of just destroyed a lot of our chances for getting an OG Da Vinci at this point without the story changing up or something like that. So I just don't see it right now. It'd have to be like a Nema scene spinoff or something like that. I'm not going to say they can't do it, just that I don't really see it. Brave Liz, pretty much already in a bikini, but again, I think they're going to go with base Gilly. Cleo. Now, Cleo has some gorgeous artwork, especially by our good friends Redrop. Cleo is another one of those where they could pull in essentially her and then use her to get Caesar in as a summer male. So I could see it. That's a sneaky one, and I really do think it would be popular depending on how they depicted her. So I really do think that could be a decent one for them to do. Jailter, I'm gonna just be real with you. While Jailter does not have a summer form, I think I speak for a lot of us when I say I don't want to see Jailter get a summer form. It'd probably be cute, but it's one of those deals where it's like I don't really see it being likely. Cats. You know, in thinking about this, I'm really surprised that we haven't seen Kets get a summer form. And now I'm about to make one of the most controversial choices on this. I think Kets is unlikely. And there's a reason why, and I will explain that when we get to it. Medusa Lily. Same thing for the reason that I think they'll go with Medusa over Medusa Lily, though this is a contradiction to my statement earlier about them maybe going with Medea Lily over Medea. I think at this point, Nasu knows the demand is for Medusa, but I do think you will probably see Medusa Lily at some point. Gorgon. Hear me out. I could see this one actually go either way. I really could. And people would absolutely drool over a Gorgon summer. So while I think Lily has a very low chance, and I think Medusa is very high, I also think Gorgon's going to have a high one. However, if one of the two of these gets a summer form, the other one plummets. Taiga. God, I wish this was going to get a summer form. It would be the most amazing thing. It's possible. I don't really see them doing it, but we'll see. Cha-Cha. I don't think Cha-Cha's very likely. Passion Lip. Yeah. Passion Lip has to go to likely. I have moved Passion Lip around a lot over the years in this list. She absolutely has to go to likely just due to the sheer, like, mentions and appearances. So not only has she guest appeared, she has had a swimsuit drawn for her, but quite literally Nasu has addressed it and has made the claim that Takeuchi is the one preventing it. But we know Takeuchi's the big boob lover, so I suspect it's actually Nasu and he's just kind of throwing Takeuchi under the rug. I think it'll happen, but we'll see. We'll see. Shez. I think Shez could be an interesting one depending on how they depicted her. I think she's possible. I don't think she's in the likely category. And the Amazoness CEO. I think this goes more likely as you start to consider more Greek options. I think she's possible. I'm not going to put her in the high chance right now. Bunyan. I think that's unlikely. Just for numerous reasons. Parvati. Now, I would like to see a Parvati over, honestly, quite a few of the other Sakura face options. I think she's possible, but I think Lip is going to be the more likely of the two. Chiome. Also possible, not a super popular character. I don't know how the devs feel about her at this point. She's kind of been an under the radar type of character. Danzo. Now we have seen actual artwork of Danzo. She's also going to go impossible. I think she's probably got a little bit of a higher chance than Chiome at this point, but we'll see. It's another very interesting type of scenario. The Mecha Ellies, I'm gonna just be honest, does anyone actually want to see that in a bikini? Cersei's an interesting one. I don't think she's the most sex appeal type of character, but that may also make her a really good candidate for a summer one. I think I'm going to put her in possible, not likely. And as a result, like, it'll just really depend on the dev's stance on her. She did get a little bit of attention though here recently with the Samurai Remnant collaboration and stuff. So we'll see if the devs try to do more. Nezha, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I don't really see Nezha, not at the current point in time. Midrash. This is another one of those characters that she is just not really seen the light of day. However, they could absolutely, in the same way that you could do like Cleo with Caesar, they could absolutely do Midrash with someone like David, basically. So it's definitely possible. I'd really like to see it. I think it's kind of an in-between at this point in time because, as Chad has mentioned, there's some issues with the artist. I'm not sure if that necessarily precludes a character, but I'm just going to knock her down a peg, whereas I think she could be likely otherwise. She'd be a prime candidate. It's probably going to rely on them finding a different artist for her. So it is an interesting thing nonetheless. Altera the Sunta, not likely, given that our Altera is likely. Semi and Amakusa. It could be a thing. I have heard that Pan doesn't really have the highest opinion of Semi. I'm not going to put her in unlikely. I'm also not going to put her in likely. She's going to sit right there in the middle, where I think she's got good odds, but not like the best. This would be a really, really interesting one with Fujino. I, however, think that Fujino is only at best going to ever be possible. I don't think she'll ever move into the likely category, because this is pretty much the same deal as some of your other, like, sort of extra Nasuverse type of characters. It's possible. I don't necessarily see it unless they just go, like, crazy with it. Nyalter. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put Nyalter right beside Atalanta. I think either of these two is possible. I think, for me personally, I see Atalanta a little bit more likely. But if they feel the need to kind of give Nyalter a little bit more, like, attention, I could see it being a thing. At least Atalanta exists outside of FGO to some degree. Seat and I. Now, we did have an Ilya back in Summer 5. We also did have Summer Kuro. And that's exactly why I believe Seat and I is unlikely. Because I think there's going to be another one of that group that is more likely than the rest of them. Shootin' Caster. This would be a really interesting one compared to, like, normal Shootin'. I think it would be normal Shootin' would be who'd get it, as opposed to the Magifender version. So I'm going to put her down in unlikely, but we'll see. Tin Liang Yu. This one is an interesting one. Same deal. If they want to go maybe a Chinese theme or something like that. However, we kind of already had that with Summer 5. I think it's possible she'd kind of be an orphaned version at that point, where she wouldn't be surrounded by everybody else. They've done similar things over time, like, for instance, just throwing Canis randomly in there with a different group of people. So it's like, I don't think it's crazy, but I also don't think it's crazy likely. Bradamante Summer. Now hear me out. Bradamante Summer with the Paladins of Charlemagne as the guys. That I could absolutely see. And that is not a crazy theme, I think, at this point either. For several years now from Trom, I think it's definitely something they could do at this point. I've had this as a possibility a lot lower in prior years. It's kind of getting time, so I could see it now. Samba Cats also going down here in the unlikely. Benny Enma. So Benny Enma has been featured in Summer Art. Is possible. I don't really see a whole lot of demand for a Benny Enma Summer, unless it were Benny Alter and it was an LB7 theme. So this one's going to go into possible this year, because LB7 is on the ticket for this year, potentially. Now, chat, we get to Miyu. I just told you Seat and I is unlikely, because we've had Kuro and we've had Ilya before. But Miyu, unfortunately, if you don't like Miyu, I think she's likely. If you like her, this is great news for you. I hate to say it, but I think it is one of those deals where it's like, there's going to be that lolly character. There's always going to be one. It is what it is. So, King Protea. God, that would just be a slap in the face to Passion Lip. Like, just an absolute slap in the face to Passion Lip. And that's exactly why she's going down here in the unlikely category. Reigns, I mean, it's possible. I don't think it has a really high chance. That would be a really weird one. Maybe if I can think of a theme that would go well with it, but I'm not really sure they would. Estrella Summer. This would be really weird because you would have to start thinking about like what class would you make in Estrella Summer, especially since it's, you know, the goddess in control. So it's like, I don't know. It'd be really, really weird in that regard. I think it would also be potentially a like swift kick in the nads to Martha. So we'll see. I think this sort of thing is possible. I don't think it's likely. Gray. Hear me out. In this regard, very similar. The reason Gray is more likely, Gray is a saber face. And at some point, they're going to run out of saber faces to throw into that summer event. And they're going to keep trying to find one. I don't think she's as likely as Lalter. Or even Lily, for that matter. She's kind of at the tail end of possible here. Ganesha / Janako. They could. They absolutely could. I don't really see it. Lakshmi. Now, compared to LB4, this one actually is a little bit more likely. In fact, it's a little bit more. Mao Nobu. You want it. I want it. We all want it. Kagetora, aka Weisugi Kenshin. I don't think it's likely, but we'll see. I think it is a little too soon, but eventually, yes. Salome. Salome would be an interesting one. I think, considering we already have Matahari up here, I think Salome goes into the it's possible. I think she's got a better shot than some of the other low stars. Summer Space Ishtar is so unlikely right now, given what they just did the prior year. I'm not going to say never, but I'm going to say not right now. Like, Ren fans, I'm sorry, you've probably got another, like, 5 years. Meanwhile, Calamity Jane Summer. I can see it. Santa Gale. No. Europa. I'm gonna be honest. I don't see it being likely. They could definitely give some more love to Granny and kind of get some attention on her. Maybe show off that sweet bod. But I don't think they do it. I think they leave Granny right where she is. Yang Yifei can only go right there. The fact that How How still doesn't have a summer form is a travesty. Dioscurry. This one's an odd one. I have excluded most joint or gender neutral characters and put them in the men category. But this one's a true joint character. It is both male and female. It is a brother and a sister. I could see them doing that if they wanted to be cheeky. However, I don't think it's likely. I will give them a spot on the list, but they do not receive the rank of likely. I feel like this would be a hilarious summer unit. I'm going to be honest. It's not likely, but I could easily see Kijo Koyo being a hilarious summer unit. Emiko, though. You're not ready for this, chat. Himiko absolutely could get one. It has been long enough. And it would be a real interesting summer version. Van Gogh as a summer unit. It's possible. I don't necessarily see it. Also a fantastic craft essence by Shaka P, but we'll see. Vritra summer. Man, that would require them to remember that Vritra exists. And then maybe Buffer. Yeah, she does have Ocean Flyer. Honestly, I can see it. Honestly, I can see it. Honestly, I can see it. I know y'all are sitting here looking at me right now going, he just threw 3 people into the likely category. You're darn right I did. Karen Summer. Hear me out. I would absolutely throw Karen Summer right here. Except for one problem. Nasu has to write it. So it's going back down into possible. I'm gonna be real here too. I think Galatea is possible, but I think possible is the highest Galatea will ever get. Miss Crane as a summer unit. Oh my god. I need it. I need it, but it's only possible. Chat, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? Cause yeah, it's Summer Koyan. I think it has a really good chance at this point, especially given that her arc has kind of wrapped up now. Habitrot as a summer unit, unlikely. Maybe the one that makes the summer skins. Maybe she appears in the summer event, but not as an actual true summer unit. Jack Demolay. It's possible. It'd be a weird one. Zenobia. God, I want summer Zenobia. Oh my god. I would go freaking insane for a summer Zenobia. That would be beyond hot. However, Cinderella going down here. Okuni. I'm gonna be real. I don't really see an Okuni summer. Not right now. Not in this way, shape, or form. Same thing with Ranmaru. Now, I'm gonna take Koyan Sky of Dark and I'm gonna throw her in unlikely. But the reality is, it to me is the same chance. You know what? I'll go ahead. I'll put them side by side. Because what I think is gonna happen is you're just gonna get a Koyan Sky of Summer. And it will likely incorporate parts of both. A Feistion. I don't really see it. Not right now. It's possible. I don't think it's a high chance. She's moving out of unlikely this year into possible. I would love to see a Bazette summer. Would love it. But not seeing it. Not seeing it. Not seeing it. Not seeing it. Creamhill. I could see it. I could see it. Bakin, I don't really see it. Arcuid, I'm just kidding. Of course Arcuid's going up in likely. Arcuid is absolutely beyond likely. Like, it's so crazy. I think the only counterpoint to it being Arcuid's year is the fact that we just got Phantasm Moon. I think that's probably the biggest issue. But good God. So I think it's going to go right here this year. But we'll see. The Nariku, I don't think it's likely. EO. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put EO Impossible. I think it's a very similar deal to like Himiko here, where you could see these two kind of become interchangeable, where they maybe say, hey, instead of doing Himiko, we do EO instead. Huyan Zhou, I think it's possible that you eventually get one. I don't think it's likely. Eliza, incredibly unlikely. Greedo Mart. Greedo Mart, I don't think it's as likely as Bradamante, especially given that we just had like a big chunk in Summer 8 of a lot of the like fairy nights and stuff. But I do think eventually. Nitocris Alter Summer. Oh my God. I want that. I think it's possible. Chat. Remember how I said that Kets wasn't likely? Yeah, there was a reason for that. It's because Cuckoo is. Cuckoo absolutely is. Like, Cuckoo is gonna happen and people are gonna go crazy. Johanna. God, this would be a weird one. I would like to see it in a weird way. Tiamat. Do I feel Tiamat this year? Honestly, I can't preclude Tiamat for the same reason. Same thing with Draco. However, Draco is in a little bit of a weirder spot given that she's a beast. But they could change her. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say Draco is impossible, not in likely. Locusta, on the other hand, not happening. Kashin Koji, don't see it. Durga, it's too soon for Durga, probably. But eventually, yes. Medusa Saber. So I'm going to put her down in unlikely, but it's a weird thing because it's like technically they could take the Saber form and make that into Summer. One Gina. I'm going to be honest, one Gina is possible, but I don't really see it. This one's absolutely possible. But is Sugi Tani, is it time for her? I'm going to put her in possible. Don't see it. I'm gonna be real with y'all. The ruler version has a better chance than the Lancer version. I left Takaru on the list. Takaru is absolutely a gender neutral. I don't see Takaru ever getting a summer form. And I want you guys to understand that's specifically why I left it on the list. Because I know some people will be like, oh, you're biased, Cad. I don't see it. I think in the exact same way that they treat like Enkidu, you're going to see a similar treatment to Takaru. Okay. Now, hear me out. Maybe at some point in the future as a quote unquote male, but I don't really think it's a likely thing. Ushi Gozen, too soon. I think it's unlikely, but possible. Same thing for Yui. Andromeda. Andromeda is like already half in a summer outfit. I can see it, but not this year. Same thing here. I really want that, but not this year. Same thing here, 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 here. These are all too soon to get a summer unit. So what does that leave us with? Let's take a look at the list, because frankly, there's probably some mobility that I can get here. Looking at something like this, I think Phantasm Moon kind of does prevent this a little bit. I'm gonna move Lily up into likely. I'll give her that. We actually have 3 saber faces in here. You know what? I'm gonna move Bizette. I'll also move Nito Alter. And I think I will leave it at that. So depressing to see Drake have to stay impossible. I'll be happy to be wrong about this one. Assuming the developers actually do a because I think a really easy one, as I pointed out, is like they could just take her and make her Rider. And that could be Rider Umu. And that would be how they'd do it. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and let's examine some of the men. Okay, so of the men, who do we think has a good shot here? So we've obviously had quite a few. You're gonna notice in some ways like no real theme amongst the men. Okay. And that's something to denote, is that like they didn't even do men for the first 2 years. Summer 3 was the first year they had male costumes. People have been asking for them to do an actual devoted male summer unit. I'm not going to predict as to whether or not they'll do something like that. However, I will potentially predict that they will do costumes as they have before. So with that in mind, it's going to be an interesting one to see, especially given the fact that if you look at Summer 9 here, we didn't get any. So it's possible that they maybe do more, but we'll just have to see. Did we get more? Karna is MIA. Percy and Barth. Okay, we did get a Bartholomew one. I was trying to remember because I was like, I could have sworn we got a Bartholomew one. Okay, so were those our 3? Tristan, Gawain, and Lancelot we have. Okay. All right. With that in mind, boom. Gil's an interesting one. He's definitely hotly demanded, but we did already have Gil casters, so I think they stay away from that. I think Ku is always a likely candidate. I think Herc is a potential one as well, especially if they go with a Greek theme. I think I asked myself too, like, just who it is that people like. Gonna go grab Charlie. Gonna go grab Kire. Arthur's a weird one. He's definitely there. Same thing with like Bedivere. They've been drawn with a summer outfit. They just haven't gotten it properly. So I will give them a possibility here. All right, hear me out, chat. Hear me out. Napoleon. Muramasa. Well, Muramasa's definitely a demanded one. But Summer 5 had Emiya. So I think I put Muramasa back. Gonna give Roland one up here. Similar to Charlemagne. Where's the Stolf? There's the Stolf Saber. Where's the OG Stolf? There's the OG Stolf. Now, how about a low star, chat? I like Leonidas. Gonna take Billy. Don't people like Izo? You're not wrong, and I will put him on that list, but Izo has always been a strong contender. And that's why Izo has so many costumes already. But they also, like, Mandricardo was used in a prior year as well, and he was also another popular with the ladies. I would love King Hassan to get one. Don't think it's likely. Tez? Not wrong. If they go LB7. I have OG Ku on there. I mean, it's possible you get something like Ku Alter instead. Because the other thing to think about is like how they're gonna build a banner, right? But Kentucky already has an outfit, so it's like it's possible. I know I put Ezo up there, but Ezo is just like he is the Chad. I don't know if you guys know this. He's basically the most popular male, at least amongst the JP women. Like, but Arjuna, I don't see it. Not like maybe Arjuna Alter. But Arjuna Alter has also been like kind of prominently featured before, and he has also gotten an outfit himself. I'm not really seeing it at the point in time. All right, chat, hear me out. Hear me out. Nagasugi? Yeah. Yeah, they did give him a rate up. I don't see it then. They'll go with someone else. It's difficult. It's difficult to say. I want maybe one or two more here. Ame Tomo? Nah, I don't see it. Not as a summer outfit. Usually, like it's the same thing as like Babbage. I'm gonna stay away from anybody that's like robotic. They're very unlikely to be the summer focus. I will take Jason. And then Ozzy. Yeah, Ozzy's. They could go for like a whole sun god thing if they wanted to do like Cuckoo, so it's possible. I think that's a good candidacy list. The men, I'm always all over the place on. It's so difficult to land on the correct ones for them because there is no rhyme or reason to what males they use. Again, literally look at the prior year, right? Like, there is not normally a commonality. This is actually, like, Summer 8 was the most themey each of them were. Because prior to that, all over the place with who they've chosen. So, no commonality at all. Other than in the first couple of years, you had several males that had gray hair. I'm not really sure why. But that was the thing. But yeah, so I think this is my summation of the list here, is that I do think your LB7 units are coming back online. I do think your older units that are older than that at that point, they're well in the categories like your Trom units and stuff like that. They're absolutely possible at this point in time. Ordeal Call units, I think, are a little too soon. Kind of. But we'll see. We are right at the, like, 2-year mark for, obviously, Lilum Harlot and all that stuff. I think they'll probably wait before they start messing too much with the Ordeal Call units. Also because I don't think the Ordeal Call units are maybe as hotly demanded as some of the older units are. I think if they want this summer to be good, and it's very likely that they do, they will go for some big ticket winners, given that this is Summer 10. This is going to be a big one for them. They're going to be fresh off the heels of Annie 10. They're going to want to make a big splash. They're going to want to keep people that come in with Annie 10 and keep their attention. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to offer a smorgasbord of hot women and popular characters in order to kind of keep people going. So expect them to probably do some interesting ones. It's one of the reasons that I do think Lolter is extremely likely, just for the like, hey, oh, that's Artoria, but it's the one I've heard about. It's the really, really like hot MILF one, and she's the edgy one. So I could see them doing stuff like that. I could also see them tapping into, again, like the whole Trom thing with Charlemagne and stuff like that. It's been long enough, so I could see them trying to go that route. So they'll try to get people with some big names, things that people already kind of recognize and know, and are very likely to again, register and really kind of be a blip on the radar for them, so to speak. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this one. Be curious to hear you guys' thoughts. Obviously, we may have to revisit this after Ordeal Call 4, so it's maybe altogether too early still for this, but definitely wanted to get this one out and done before the lotto coming up here, especially because it'd be good discussion material during that. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys for the next one. Later. Hey, if you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe, right?